The very first Google review said, "Come here if you want hepatitis." So I thought, oh, that's not a good thing. And I started reading the rest of reviews, and they were similar. Every review talked about cockroaches, the machines not working, the unhoused community, people shooting drugs up in the location, actually overdosing in the location. And it made me really sad. I thought I could maybe make a difference here and change this.
Hello and welcome to My Great Pivot. I'm Carrie Regan, and I share stories of brave, bold, brilliant women who've left traditional careers to launch their own businesses. Question for you. Have you ever experienced the Sunday scaries? That feeling on Sunday night when you're just filled with dread at the thought of the long work week ahead? My next guest knows that feeling all too well. Emily D'Souza spent 20 years in corporate customer success. In her most recent job, that meant managing over 80 client accounts, a workload that had grown so large that, as she shares, she could work 24 hours a day and still not have the bandwidth to do her job properly. It was the perfect recipe for burnout. Then, one day, she came across a listing for a business in her neighborhood that was for sale, a laundromat. And not just any laundromat, one that was so run down, it had been on the market for years. So she bought it. Months later, after pulling off a dramatic renovation, Emily's the owner of Pacific Beach Laundry Co., a thriving business she can call her own. In our conversation, Emily shares how she did it, including how she financed the purchase when the laundromat didn't qualify for a traditional bank loan, and how her experience in customer success proved to be the perfect training ground. I left this conversation so inspired. I hope you love it as much as I did. Emily D'Souza, you are the owner and operator of Pacific Beach Laundry Company. Welcome to My Great Pivot.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
I am so excited to hear more about your story. But first, for the past 20 years, you've had a pretty traditional career. And then 7-8 months ago, you bought a laundromat.
I did. So it wasn't even that long ago. I think it was actually, I did go into escrow, I guess, in December on my laundromat. So it's been 6 months. And what inspired me in my corporate job, I think I was starting to see more and more asked of me. And as that was happening, I didn't feel like I could, even if I was working 24 hours a day, that I could finish my work. So I just started to be open to other ideas.
And I hear so much from people who are in this position. And, I think it has a lot to do with so much consolidation
Mhm.
that's going on across every industry. You have private equity coming in and buying businesses and
Mm,
companies and looking to save money by cutting corners. And I feel like people are seeing so much work being piled on the average worker.
mhm.
I think a lot of people are feeling that same burnout and looking for something different. So, why a laundromat? And why this laundromat?
So this laundromat was special. It is what we call a zombie mat in the laundromat industry. And I'll explain that in a minute. But it wasn't really anything special that led me to a laundromat. I know laundromats are the thing right now. There's lots of
Uh-huh.
podcasts about how to buy a laundromat. I hadn't listened to one of them before I did this.
Really?
hmm I did after. I've had the fast forward button pressed to learn as much as I possibly can, but I didn't even know that laundromats were a thing. But there was a curry restaurant in my town that I loved, and it closed. And so one day I just thought, I wonder how much rent is in my town for businesses. And so I Googled the curry restaurant. It came up on a site called Biz by Sell, which is a site that small businesses are sold. And I, found out the rent, explored my curiosity. But as I was I'd never been on this site. And as I was scrolling down, the next ad below it was this laundromat. And I just thought, oh, a laundromat, that's interesting. And one of the things about this laundromat was looking at the Google reviews. And it made me really sad. The very first Google review said, "Come here if you want hepatitis." So I thought, oh, that's not a good thing. And I started reading the rest of reviews, and they were similar. It was very, very poor reviews. And I even read them to my son, and he said, "Mom, are you cherry picking these ads?" Or I said, "No, I'm just going down the Google reviews." Every single one was a really horrible review. So I thought I could maybe make a difference here and change this. And that's what I've done.
Wow. So you're frustrated in your job. When you were going and wondering what rents are like, was
Mhm.
it because you were thinking you might want to open a business? Were you thinking
No.
maybe I could open that career?
It
No.
just was kind of like interesting, like, I wonder why they went out of business, are they really expensive
Okay.
kind of thing. There wasn't really I need to start another business. I mean, they were parallel tracks. One was I was getting more and more frustrated in my job and didn't feel like I could take any time off without it, there's nobody to do my work, so it just would pile on if I even took time off. So I took very little time off and getting more and more burnt out. And then it just clicked. I thought, I could maybe do this.
And I love, like, I have seen so many of these financial independence influencers
Mhm.
talk about laundromats. Some of
Yes,
them call them boring businesses.
right.
Buy boring
Mhm.
businesses, storage units,
Yes,
laundromats.
car washes.
Yeah, car washes are also really big.
Yeah,
But it wasn't on that wasn't even on your radar.
it really wasn't, and I just feel like something it just all fell into place, like, why I mean, like I said, there are parallel tracks, and then it kinda made sense, and I didn't really plan on leaving my corporate job. I had planned on operating them both because, that's
Okay.
security, but I'm just so happy with the way I don't think in just 7 short weeks since I've been open, we have 83 five-star Google reviews. I just had a call this morning, a demo with a software company to change to a different point of sale system. And when he was looking at my numbers, he was blown away. He could not believe how much adoption we've had, how many new customers we had just in our app alone that we use to operate some of the machines. It's a cashless, not cashless, but we use cards, we use an app, and then we use cash, but no quarters at our location. So there's lots of data that you can mine from that. And he said, I have never seen such adoption with an app. We have 156 customers already using the app, just the app. I mean, and so it's just been booming. I can't believe this.
That's incredible. And I take it none of your reviews mention hepatitis.
They don't. They're all five-star reviews. They talk about actually, the things they talk about, I'm very proud of. They talk about my employees who take care of my
Yeah,
customers. They talk about the great customer service that we've been able to offer. They talk about how clean
yeah.
our location is. And they do talk about how it's transformed the neighborhood, really.
Yeah. Well, and this is what I love here that, if you wanted to say you had a strategy, I don't even know if you would consider this a strategy at the time, but it wasn't, I'm going to go and buy a business like a laundromat or a storage unit that's going to make money that can be really profitable.
Mhm.
It was really find a business that had potential,
Yeah,
that really
exactly.
wasn't living up to its potential. Yeah.
100%. I knew I could change this around. I knew it.
Wow. And did anything in your professional career to date set you up with these skills to be able to
Absolutely.
identify?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, identify the business? I don't think so, other than I
Yeah.
knew I could take care of customers, and that has been my love my entire career has been customers. Once upon a time, I was a manager at Trader Joe's, and that brand really taught me how to take care of customers, and everybody knows that brand. And what do they think
Yeah.
about that brand? It's not, "Oh, I love their groceries." It's more about the experience, and that's what I
Yeah.
learned there, to take care of customers, make sure they have a very, very good experience. Handhold them, take them to the product, tell them about the product, tell them why you love this product. I'm doing all those same things in this business. I think that when I talked about that adoption of the app, that's exactly what we're
Yeah.
doing. We're hand-holding, we're teaching them, we're showing them why this is easy for them. They don't have to keep track of a card. They always have their phone. They can load money easily on their app. We're telling them the benefits and they're using it and becoming repeat customers. So I'm really just following that model, taking care of customers, which I don't think is a typical model for a laundromat.
Yeah. And again, as we see this consolidation and private equity buying
Mhm.
up companies and whatnot, I feel like that customer success and keeping customer front of mind is really being pushed aside in the interest of pursuing profit, profit, profit too.
Absolutely. At my most recent job, I had 80 plus accounts and I just felt like I was failing my customers at every turn.
Mm.
I couldn't give them what I was used to being able to give them because I was so overloaded with work. And this just feels so much better. I can give every single customer what
Yeah.
they're looking for. I can, do they come in the door? Are they having a good experience? Is, their task, whatever it is, of course it's laundry this time, being solved. Yes, their clothes are beautiful. I had a woman come in with a comforter yesterday. It was actually really dirty. And I said, do you want, let me help you stain treat this. So I worked with her to, stain treat the comforter. It's that kind of customer service that I'm doing. I am taking every single customer and treating them that way. Her comforter came out beautifully new. It didn't even look like it had been used ever before. And it was just a huge transformation. She left me a Google review. So I feel like it's so simple. It's just a very simple, problem that I'm solving every single time. I'm taking care of customers.
Amazing. It's something so simple, yet something that we, I feel, really have gotten away from too,
Hmm.
making customer service a strategic advantage. Backtracking,
Yeah.
you see this listing. A lot of people would see this listing. Maybe they'd entertain the fantasy of, it's like that Matt Damon movie, I Bought a Zoo.
Yes,
I
yes.
bought a
I
laundromat.
bought a laundromat.
And then the next day they'd go back to the grad. They wouldn't really pursue this. Walk me through your process. What happened? You see the listing. Did it just sit with you for a while?
Maybe for about a week. And then I really just went full bore on it. I didn't really tell anybody
Uh-huh.
because I knew people would say you're crazy. And they did when I did tell them. But I just started pursuing it and I started reaching out to the owner. And I think one thing I've heard from people that are trying to buy laundromats, so take this as a piece of advice, persevere, persistence. Just
Okay.
owners get a lot of, people inquiring and it's the squeaky wheel that gets the grease. So I even heard from my landlord at the end of the transaction, and he's a wonderful man. He's been so supportive, him and his wife. And he said, Emily, I don't know how you bought this laundromat. I can't even, it had been for sale for 2 years. And he said, I have talked to so many people that were interested in this laundromat, and I'm not really sure how you did it, but you cracked that nut. And I really believe that it was just me being kind, being really just treating the owner with respect. And he wasn't easy to deal with, but just continually treating with kindness and respect and not giving up. Just keep going because he didn't respond to my first email. He didn't respond to my first call. And so about the third time I called and emailed, he did finally return my call. But even then, it was hard to continue on. Like the next step. I had to create the contract. He didn't have a contract. I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and I made it happen. But perseverance and persistence, I think, are really the keys here.
And do you think that's something that's true of laundromats or just zombie businesses in general, or maybe the owners have fallen into this kind of complacent routine?
I think it's probably true of zombie mats because one thing that happens is they're checked out. You know, they're not
Yeah.
putting time or effort into this business, and it was in very, very, very rough shape. And when I say rough shape, it was the local hangout for a lot of people who were doing drugs and overdosing in the location. I mean, it was because no one was there to monitor it. And I now have
Mm.
an employee on site at all times, or myself, mostly myself. I put in a lot of hours. I think laundromats are also touted as like an absentee business. Definitely not. It's something that I put in, 70 plus hours a week there physically, and then I'm doing the business on the side. So, I mean, I think you can't go into this thinking it's just going to run itself. And I think maybe that's true of owners is that they think that. And so that's how these
Yeah.
locations go downhill.
They think it's going to be really hands off. They
Hmm.
won't have to really, yeah.
Eventually, maybe, but not it really now.
Yeah. You go and you decide you're going to buy this place. You don't tell anyone
Uh-huh,
because it's easy for people to rain on your dreams,
uh-huh,
right? It had a bad reputation in the neighborhood,
uh-huh,
your neighborhood.
uh-huh.
You lived in this
Right.
neighborhood. How did you overcome that bad reputation? How did you announce to the community that this place has completely changed? It's no longer the old place.
So I closed escrow on January 10th, and I immediately closed the doors twofold. When I had gone into contract with a contractor and we were going to gut it. And two, I didn't have insurance. Insurance is actually hard to get on this laundromat. And I think that's just an insurance thing in general in California. So I didn't want to have, somebody have a slip and fall or something while it was open. So I immediately closed the doors. And the day that I closed escrow, there were a few customers coming in, but honestly, like they were the first customers I had seen in that place because it was just awful. So I closed the doors. I put paper up on all the windows so nobody would be able to see what was going on. But then I did a big poster, and my poster was, "My name is Emily. I bought this laundromat. I'm so excited to bring this back to the community." I put my Instagram follow. So I said, "Following on the progress, and I can't wait to meet you, and I can't wait to open my doors. We're going to be closed for a few months." So I had so many people reach out to me on my Instagram and tell me how excited they were. So that was just kind of my little announcement. It wasn't anything big. It was just, hey, we're going to be closed, but this is going to be better than ever.
Again, so brilliant. So you make the renovate. A lot of people would just close the doors and they'd think, I'm not going to start my marketing and I'm
Yeah,
not going to start announcing
immediately.
until I'm ready to open my doors. You made that whole process part of a marketing campaign. And it feels kind of, I don't know, dirty to say it's a marketing campaign because it's so authentic what you did. But it really was a brilliant marketing strategy as
And honestly, I
well.
didn't think of it that way at the time. But I had so many people reach out and just tell me how grateful they were. That that's continued. Even now, every day somebody comes in and just says, "Wow, this place they can't believe it." And I love it when somebody comes in, especially, of course a new customer, but a customer who has been in before. They can see the transformation and they're floored. It's a whole new business now.
So did you have to buy all new
I
machines?
did.
And what's that business? Do you rent the machines? Do you own them?
No, I own them. I have a pretty big loan, but I do own them, and that process was really interesting too. I had done some research for choosing machines. And one thing that I read that was consistent everywhere I looked was choose your distributor wisely. And so I reached out to three main distributors, and one of the distributors was just incredible. And they said, choose a distributor that you know that you would not mind going into business with, like basically your partner. His name is Leonard. He's a Speed Queen representative. And he's just been incredible. If I texted him right now, he would text me back within 2 minutes. And we're done with the sale. That's the kind of support that he gives me. So I went through the process of getting bids of machines. And one of the things that Leonard brought along with his Speed Queen bid was this contractor who only does laundromats. So he helped me gut the place and helped me paint it pink. I have videos of the subcontractors painting it pink, and they were like, "Pink?" I said, "Yes, pink, pink."
I love it. I love it. And so the distributor is basically the person who's selling you the machines. They're
Yes.
also involved in, I imagine, the install and maintenance, or no? Or like, what's their full role?
So their full role, I mean, their main role is the sale. But what happens in this industry is your distributor is kind of a person that guides you through everything because he has been in this business, I think, 20 years more, maybe more. And he has dealt with every situation. So even though at this point I do have a separate maintenance person that I go to if anything happens, I've texted him first. And often he's so incredible. He'll come out and he will teach me how to fix whatever problem I've had because he wants me to learn how to operate this laundromat. And so he's come out several times. I mean, just for silly things. Like one time, a customer accidentally put a sock in the door of one of the washing machines. And so it started leaking. And my employee calls me immediately and says, "Emily, one of the machines is pouring water all over the floor." So I immediately call Leonard and said, this. And so he gets my employee's phone number, calls him, guides him through how to stop the machine and stop this flooding. But it's that kind of immediate support that, like, that's not his job, really. Like, that's a service technician, and he still does it. He's incredible. So I feel like over and over again, he's proven himself that I chose correctly.
Shout out to Leonard.
Yeah, shout out to Leonard. He's the best. Yeah, I love Leonard.
Big fans here at My Great Pivot. You mentioned you have a big loan. How did you know when you went into this that it would be profitable? What kind of information did you look at?
So the statistics on laundromats are 95% of them are profitable. So that's a pretty good statistic already. I knew this location was losing money. So I couldn't go traditional routes like SBA loan or any of the loans for women or anything like that, because on paper, this was a bad investment. I also knew that it wasn't operating at capacity. Half the machines were broken. There were cockroaches everywhere. The drug unhoused issue where people were camping out. There were a lot of factors, that I knew were fixable. So yeah, I knew on paper it didn't look very good, but I also knew what the issues were and how to fix them. I felt like there were a lot of ways to go about changing the story of this laundromat.
And then what other information did you look at? You mentioned, and I have to say, you have chronicled this story in your LinkedIn profile.
Yes.
And LinkedIn posts. And that's how I first found out about you. You had this LinkedIn post that went viral.
It went viral. It was not expected. All I was doing was kind of announcing, hey, I'm moving over from tech to this laundromat business. And it had the reach, I think, was that I can see the statistics was like 3 million. And I mean, just crazy. I think I got close to 7,000 likes and 500 comments. I mean, I don't even post on LinkedIn that often. I have since then because I really felt like, wow, people are interested in this story. They're feeling some of the same things that I did. It resonated. And so I've continued on. But yeah, crazy.
What do you think about the story resonated with people?
I think a lot of people felt the same way. And even the person that I was on the phone with earlier today for a demo for an onboarding for a software that I'll be using in the laundromat, he mentioned my LinkedIn post and he said, Emily, you talked about the Sunday scaries. And he said that really resonated with me. And I think there are several parts. I think in tech right now, people are worried about the next shoe dropping. It doesn't matter if you've been a loyal employee for 20 years, you could get laid off. Nobody's safe. And I think in this economy and job market, this job market is tough. Even when I got this job, which was a couple of years ago, my tech job, until I got the job offer, I had put out 400 job applications. So I know the job market is even worse now. And so I think people are really feeling that, just that, there isn't a lot of loyalty anymore. And so to see something that you can create and, I'm my own boss now. And that I don't have the Sunday scaries. Like, honestly, I'm putting in more hours than ever at this laundromat and I love every minute. And I think people crave that. It's not that people don't want to work or don't want to work hard. It's that kind of comfort that you're going to be okay. And I feel that now. Like, I am going to be okay. I've run my numbers obsessively at the laundromat, but I'm going to be okay. I'm fine. I have a great business now and I have employees that enjoy working for me and a community that's supporting me. I mean, I really couldn't ask for anything more right now.
Yeah. The Sunday scaries being that dread that we all feel when it's Sunday night and we're like, I got a work week coming up. I just can't. I can't do it.
Like, can I do this? I just don't even feel like my weekend was long enough. I don't even feel recovered.
Yeah. In one of your LinkedIn posts, and again, they're so amazing. You break down every part of the process. I feel like you have revealed through this process that you are a master at finding businesses that you can turn around. You're a master marketer and you're also this master influencer. All of these jobs that are out there that people work for decades trying to master these skills. And you just seem to have be so fantastic at them all intuitively and so authentically. I just have to give you major props for that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I mean, in one of your LinkedIn posts, you mentioned that you did look at electric bills. You did look at their books. And so did that help inform some of your decisions too?
It did. But I did know that I was only working at maybe half capacity because half of the machines were broken. And I mean, really broken, like missing doors, like just really in disrepair. So I kind of had to extrapolate, like, okay, if all these machines were working, and it was difficult. I kind of had to have a lot of faith because it's only been in the last few weeks that I've gotten those first few utility bills that I was like, okay, this is what it's going to be. And maybe even more, because we're continuing to grow. But I did look at all those things, but I also knew they weren't telling the whole picture. And so it was a little bit of a leap of faith.
Yeah. I didn't even think of water bills.
Yeah, water bills. Yeah. See, in California, water is crazy expensive. But, when you're working with a location that isn't getting the foot traffic because people are scared to come in. Half the machines aren't working. I mean, I can look at those bills and do my research and due diligence, but I also knew it wasn't the whole picture. Like they were probably going to be 2 or 3 times what they were. If the business was operating in a functional way, that they would be
Yeah.
much higher.
Yeah. Did you have any small business consultants that you went to? Did you have anyone who you consulted?
No, and actually, funny story, the old owner, I don't think he'll watch this, offered to sell me his business plan. And I very politely said, I think I'm good.
That is, again, you just sort of intuited your way through this whole process. It's
Yeah.
just incredible. You mentioned that you weren't able to qualify for a small business
Oh, right.
loan or a
Mhm.
bank loan. How did you finance it?
Yeah. So that again was a little bit of a gamble. I think it's going to be fine. But I found out about a funding called Rob's Funding, which is Rollover Business Startup. And I did make a LinkedIn post about this because I think a lot of people, when they look into this, it's a lot of money. And, where am I going to find this money? And I think that my story of my laundromat not having correct books is very typical of a laundromat because they run on quarters, they run on cash, and that's not tracked really as well. And so, you know, even though this laundromat might have been making a little bit more money, that owner probably was, it was a cash business. So he wasn't tracking it. So I think the Rob's Funding rollover business startup, I had an IRA that I was, not contributing to at the time. I had another 401k that I was contributing to in my company. But and that's an important piece actually because to qualify, it needs to be not an you can't be actively contributing to it. So there are many very detailed parts to this because the great thing about doing this is when you roll it over into your business, you don't pay any taxes on it. You don't have to pay it back. There are so many tax benefits to doing this. So normally when you take money out of your IRA or your 401k, you're going to get taxed, early, you're going to get taxed
Hmm.
heavily. But by rolling it over your business, and this is not a shout out to any company that I did, but you don't want to DIY this. This is not something to do yourself. You want to hire a company to do this because you really don't want those tax consequences. And there are a
Yeah.
few companies out there that specialize in this. The company I used was Guidant. And when I did my research, they were the ones that handheld the most. And I was so worried about messing this process up because the consequences are so steep. So they guided me through the entire process. I was able to fund the business with the cash portion of the business. So buying the business and then also funding the initial part of the construction loan because the contractor needed an upfront payment with my IRA. And I didn't get any tax consequences for it. So really, really integral and the only way that I could have done it.
Okay. Did you think about going to friends and family and seeking any other kind of private investment?
No, I didn't. I didn't want to mix family and money. So, I mean, that's an option for some people, but really, and actually, I did have an offer. My boyfriend, he's so kind. He did offer me money for the business, which was very, very generous, and said, I'll be an investor. Um, but the one thing that I kept thinking about, and it seems so silly, was I was so afraid of having another voice telling me that I couldn't paint my laundromat pink. And I really wanted to paint it pink, which is such a small detail. But that was the one thing that stuck out. I thought, I don't want anybody telling me that I can't do this. So, yeah,
And again, it's branding.
yeah, it's all my branding. I love my branding.
You mentioned that you have employees as well. Did you always envision having employees? And is this a full-time job for you now? And how did you hire those employees?
Yeah, sure. So it is a full-time job, more than full-time job for me, and I love every minute. I'm probably spending 60 hours a week physically at the store, and then there's plenty to do outside of the store, probably 20 hours a week. But like I said, doesn't feel like it. And how I found my employees is so old-fashioned, but I put an ad on Craigslist of all places. And another laundromat owner had told me Craigslist was a very good place to find employees, and she was right. The reason why I put also in tandem put a ad on Facebook Marketplace because I was thinking local. There's Indeed, there's other ones, but I just was thinking very local. The applicants that I got on Facebook Marketplace were so bad that I actually discontinued that ad immediately. But every time I have tried to put an ad out on Craigslist, I've gotten over 100 applicants for a laundromat position. And to me, that's speaks volumes to what our job market is right now. But I have found the very best employees. I count on them so much. They are very dependable. They come from varied backgrounds. One of my employees actually had a radio program for 10 years. And radio is not the same that it used to be in the same market. So he was looking to pivot. And I rely on him so much in this business, and I tell him regularly, I couldn't have done this without you, because I bounce ideas off of him. And I mean, his title is laundromat attendant, but he's so much more than that. And I've just found, so I have 3 employees. He's my full-time employee, and then I have 2 part-time employees that put in about 20 hours a week each. And like I said, we're attended every hour because I cannot risk my business falling into the disrepair that it was before. So I want somebody there all the time. So it's a big cost for me, but worth it.
Yeah. What qualities were you looking for when you were screening the employees?
Sure. So I wasn't looking for somebody that could fold laundry, although we've all learned and we watched lots of YouTube videos and we're very good at it now. But I thought about it. I can teach skills. I can teach folding laundry, even though I didn't know, I had to learn. I can teach doing laundry. Same. I knew how to do my laundry, but I think my laundry game is pretty strong at this point. But I couldn't teach the human skills. Those are harder to teach. So mainly I told them my goal. I want every single person to walk through this door to feel seen and taken care of. And so when I would explain that, to them, I would see their reaction. And each of these people is special in that way, and that they do that for me every day, and they do that for our customers. And just reading our Google reviews, it's incredible the things that people have been saying about my employees. And I mean, I said something to one of my customers the other day. She said, Emily, Andy is so great. He's one of my employees. He's my full-time employee. And I said, oh my gosh, isn't he? I wish I could clone him. And she said, well, you did. He's you. And it was such a nice compliment. I mean, about my employee. I mean, I don't think, I'm anything great. I think I do take good care of employees, but he is fantastic. So anyway, it was just a nice sentiment from a customer. They're fulfilling my goal every single day.
And I imagine you create an environment too where you don't want your employees to have the Sunday scaries.
No, never. Never. And they tell me all the time how much they love working there. And I think it's because I'm not a micromanager. I let them fly. I give them instruction, and I'm always available to them. They can text me, they can call me if they're alone. I don't throw them to the wolves, we're in this together. But they're incredible. I really can't say enough good things about them, but they don't have the Sunday scaries, I don't think. I think they enjoy coming into work. Actually, one of my employees, one of the part-timers, said yesterday, he said, you know why I really like working for you, Emily? You tell me I do great things all the time. And he goes, I told my wife that she needs to up her game. I was like, oh. So anyway, I think words of affirmation are high on his list. So, but I do, try to tell them all the time, that specifically what they're doing well. And like yesterday, I bought a water filter machine at the request of one of my employees. They were like, can you get potted water here? I was like, oh yeah, sure. So I got one, and it was leaking yesterday when I installed it. And I had installed it in the afternoon, and my employee Skylar came in and goes, oh, I'll fix this for you, Emily. And I said, that's what's so great about you. You're such a problem solver. And that's what prompted the comment of, you're so good at words of affirmation. So,
you hear that, corporate America? Just words of affirmation.
Huge compliments, but specific ones, not like you're doing great. Like, I love it that he is a problem solver, every day he problem solves for me, and I'm so grateful.
So again, specific, authentic interactions
in the moment
with your employees.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Yeah.
You talk about adding services.
Mm.
What kind of services did you add to the menu there?
So we do wash and fold, which is where people drop off their laundry, and we process it and do it for them, which is, so nice. And, it's a beach community, so people should be out enjoying that beach, enjoying that sunshine, and doing other things other than laundry. They don't want to do laundry. Although I have overheard my customers. The other day, I overheard 2 customers. They didn't know I could hear them. And I was kind of in the back, folding laundry, but I could hear them. And one said, I really love coming here. It's addicting. And the other one responded and said, I love doing laundry now, which was like, my heart, I think, expanded because, nobody likes doing laundry. So anyway, we do wash and fold, which is fantastic. And then we do pick up and delivery. So I have several customers that are regular customers. We're so growing that part, but they can schedule pick up and delivery on my website and we come and pick it up. I really don't charge much more to do that service than when they drop off their laundry. I think it's like 10 cents more a pound, but I think it's such a service to people who, one, don't drive, older community, can't get around as well, or busy families, that don't have the time to do this. It really frees up, hours of their day. So anyway, so those are the services that we've added and we're growing them still. So it's good.
And how did you figure out that the math would work on those? How did you come up with the winning formula for pricing?
For pricing. Actually, again, Leonard, my distributor, he helped me because he really knows the industry. So I went to him and I said, Leonard, how should I price this? And he helped me with all of it. So, I mean, he's really been my business partner.
Do you have a lot of competition in the area? And
Mhm.
if so, how did you stand out?
Yeah, I actually have a laundromat right across the street. So, and that was a risk too. And I haven't really even been into the other local laundromats, but I just felt like I knew one thing that came with my lease was 7 parking spaces. And I knew from reading the Google reviews, actually, I used ChatGPT for this. And the prompt that I used was, who are my competitors within a 5-mile radius? What are their Google reviews? What are their Yelp reviews? Read them. Tell me what they're doing right. Tell me what they're doing wrong and tell me how I can beat them. And of course, it spit out this nice little spreadsheet and a list of items on each of them. And the laundromat across the street frequently talked about their parking and how it was very hard to park there. And me being a consumer, I thought they're carrying heavy loads in. If you have to walk far or you have to wait for a parking space. So I have 7 parking spaces. So I knew I could, at least have 7 people parked there and, coming into my laundromat where this would be. And I have parking signs they're just for customers, things like that. My landlord let me put up signs. We have a very busy coffee shop right across the street and people would regularly park in my spots and then head over to the coffee shop. So now that I put the signs up there, those are, open for the laundromat. They've been very respectful. So yeah, so I do have competitors, but I have been told over and over again by people that are coming into my laundromat all the reasons why they're choosing my laundromat over the other ones. Like it's very clean. My clothes smell clean when they come out of the washing machine. It's so
Mm.
bright and cheery in here. You have Wi-Fi, you have comfortable chairs. I tried to make it like a coffee shop, honestly.
Yeah.
Wi-Fi, comfortable chairs. When you think of a laundromat, you think of those hard plastic chairs. I didn't want that. So
Yeah.
I have really nice, comfortable leather chairs. So, and I have a little outdoor seating area with umbrellas. It's very cute. And, in San Diego, we have nice weather almost all year. So it's nice to sit outside. So,
Ah, really putting yourself in the mind of your consumer and
yes.
asking, what can I do?
What would I want? Yeah.
Yeah, it's that customer success professional that you were for 20 years with
Yes.
so many different brands.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that has really influenced your ability to make this what it is?
Mhm. I know how to create loyalty. I learned that first at Trader Joe's. I mean, people that shop there, you rarely hear. I mean, the only, kind of negative things is when they discontinue a product. That's it. And it's only because they are so beloved, not because good, I hate that product. It's never that. But it's loyalty. It's you have the chance every single time somebody either logs into your software product or walks into your store to retain that customer. And it is really the clock resets every time because you could lose a customer, in that moment, in that interaction. And I think I value that. I've learned that. I know that. I know how to create that loyalty, that feeling when you come into a store. It's really about a feeling. It's you feel taken care of. And it's the same at Trader Joe's. It's the same with software. It's just because it's a different product, it's the same formula. It's creating that taken care of feeling with customers.
Yeah. And I imagine a big part of that too is removing the negatives, the
Mhm.
fact that people didn't feel safe before. Now it's well lit and whatnot. They can feel safe. But also, you mentioned this app that
Yeah,
adds so much convenience.
right.
At what point did you went into this initially not really knowing much about the
No,
laundry business?
sure.
At what point did you find out about this app?
It's the software that I have 2 kiosks, and it's called Launderworks is the company that runs it, and it came with Launderworks. So I was excited because I thought, I know these demographics for this location. I know they're a younger crowd. They're freshly out of college, early 30s. Those people are used to convenience. They don't carry cash. They carry their phones all the time. this is a perfect market for that. So I knew
Yeah.
right away when I found out that there was an app, I thought, oh yeah, this is gonna go over well.
And then the fact that because you're using this, and I'll also say you had a SaaS background
Yes.
too in your work, so you knew everything that having a software platform like this could do and
Mhm.
the amount of data it would generate. How has that data helped influence your business strategy?
And that is still forming, and I'm so excited about the data because I
Yeah.
can do things like time of day pricing. So I haven't implemented that, but I plan to because I can see what times of day my laundromat is either very busy or not busy. And by implementing time of day pricing, I can offer, from 6 to 9 a.m. or something, I can say you get 25% off. What I don't want is a Google review that says I have to wait for my laundry. It takes longer because it's so crowded. I don't want that. And so
Yeah.
as soon as I find that happening, I plan to implement time of day pricing. And then hopefully it'll shift those customers who are more price sensitive over to another time period where it's not as busy, and then create openings for others who are less time sensitive and don't care, but are going to be sensitive about, I need to get in and out of here quickly. So that data is gold. And if I was just using quarters to operate this laundromat, it wouldn't be available. So people have come in my laundromat and they're like, "Oh, you switched out quarters. I would have never done that." And I try to tell them these, different things. Look at all this data. I can do this. And it kind of goes, some people really, really love quarters aren't going to hear that. But I really believe in it. I think it's really going to revolutionize how my day goes at the laundromat, how customers, influence how their experience is. I have one customer who on the app, you can see from her home which of my machines are busy. And so she looks at that, and before she comes in, she has an Airbnb and she does not want to wait. So she can see all of these washers that I like, these are the ones that I use, are empty. And so she comes in. So it's incredible the power of this app and how it's going to transform my customer experience.
I love that you have a customer who has favorite machines
Yes.
already.
She already knows her bedding fits well in these machines. So
These are my
yeah.
machines. And so there was a kiosk that had this software built in.
Yeah. So
Was
this
that already part?
that was part of the purchase when it was like the kiosk.
Okay.
I bought the kiosks. And there are other payment systems that you can buy out there, but this was the most reliable. I haven't had any downtime. The payments, like when I get paid, are very consistent. I know other platforms aren't. So those are some of the things that I researched when purchasing this. And I wanted not to just have an app because like there are a lot of payment systems that you can use for a laundromat that are just apps. And I wanted to be able to have a card system as well where they physically load a card because there are customers that don't want to put an app on their phone.
Mhm.
So I wanted to make sure that I captured, almost all. And when you are loading a card, you can either do it with cash or with your debit or credit card. And so that would at least like, while I'm not going to be like, in favor with the people that really love quarters, at least if they're just a cash customer, they can, load their tens or their 20s into the kiosk and load their card. So I knew there were a few people that were going to be disappointed, but so far the ones that have come in that have been disappointed, I've quickly won over with all the other areas that I'm trying to
Oh,
hit. So,
wants to have to go get
oh,
quarters and then haul quarters,
Harlem,
and then you
yeah,
run out of quarters. You're hitting
no,
up people for no, no,
terrible.
and then yeah, you don't have to worry about keeping that change on site as
No, I don't
well.
have my my
Yeah.
my employees don't deal with cash at all. So that's, a bonus. I don't want them to have to deal with that. So,
Yeah, again, making it a safer place as well.
mhm,
Because you've been so public about this
mhm,
on LinkedIn
mhm.
and you've gotten so much response, do you have a lot of people reaching out to you
Oh,
looking for advice? And if so,
yes.
where are you steering them?
Yeah, so I have a lot of people. So if you're one of the people that have reached out, I'm really sorry. I've tried to get back to everybody, but it's been a lot. There are a few people that I'm working with and not in a, for pay way. Like I just, I love to support somebody else. That's, fun for me, but it's also not possible to support everyone. So one of my mentors, and I found her after I purchased the laundromat, but she's been incredible, is Cami the Laundromat Girl. I think that's her handle. She is on LinkedIn, but she's not active on LinkedIn, but she is very active on TikTok and on Instagram. And so if you search up Cami the Laundromat Girl, she has been incredible. I think her forum that she has is $37 a month. It's very nominal, and she's so accessible. So anytime I've ever asked her a question, she has a weekly call that I can go to and submit questions to, which is incredible. And then I've also just on the side asked her questions. So I had someone reach out to me last couple weeks ago about a commercial account. I don't have any commercial accounts yet. And so I wanted to know, what are the important things I should ask? What's the pricing that you would price this at? And she helped me immediately. Within an hour, she was helping me. So I went into that call for questions on the commercial account, very well prepared. But I've been steering people to her because I think she's fantastic. She's amazing. She has her own laundromat. She was a nurse for many years and just kind of got burnt out, during COVID and everything. And she actually sold her home and bought a laundromat. And she bought another house now and she's very successful. Her story is inspirational, but she's also just been a huge mentor to me and helps me in this process. So highly 10 out
Well,
of 10 recommend Cami.
well, and what a way to give back to Cami too by steering people her way too.
Yeah. Several people I
Yeah.
know have told me, oh, I joined her group and she's fantastic. So
How do you spell Cami?
Cami.
Cami.
Mhm.
Okay, so reach out to Cami.
Reach out to Cami. She's fantastic.
Yeah, that's amazing. Just how you've brought in these mentors and how these mentors have sort of surfaced
Yeah.
as you've needed them too.
Yeah.
You mentioned commercial accounts. Are you at a point where you're actively seeking out commercial customers?
Yes, I am actively seeking out. The thing that I have realized, and the reason why I hired a third employee is I am at the laundromat so many hours a week that it has left little time to do that. So in hiring my third employee, that frees up a lot of my time, and not a lot of my time, but a portion of it. So I'm going to be using that portion of my schedule to be seeking out commercial accounts. And I have marketing and that I've already printed out. I plan to go to all the local businesses and I have a little flyer that they can try me for free and let me do your laundry and see how you like me, no strings attached. And I also believe that I shouldn't have contracts for commercial laundry because I don't want somebody to stay with me if they don't like me. That's just, I feel like if you don't like me or you don't feel like I'm doing a good job, of course I want to hear about it, the ways that I want to improve, but I also don't want to keep somebody that, doesn't want to be there. But I did get that first commercial account and I'm very, very excited about it. So I can't wait to, it's going to be starting next week. I did a kickoff call this week and it's actually for a large corporation and they had to do a background check on me and everything. So that was processed and next week I'll be going to pick up laundry. So
Great way to build trust with customers too by not requiring them to tie themselves down in a long-term contract.
Yeah, and try me for free, like just see what I'm about. Even if you already have somebody that you're using, try me. It's no strings attached. So
Yeah. And I imagine that software too makes it really easy for you to track capacity and where you have excess capacity and can take on extra.
yeah, the software that I'm currently using now has a pound limit so that you can set. And that way, even if it's somebody walking through the door with laundry or a commercial account, I know what our capacity is about, how long it takes to wash and dry laundry and then also fold it, which takes time. So I'm never putting more on my employees than what's reasonably expected.
That's great. It's not a 24-hour
No,
laundromat, is it?
it's not 24 hours. We're open from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. Our last wash is at 8:30. We're a little flexible on that. If you walk in later, it's fine because our cycles run 22 minutes, the machine cycles, and then our dryer is about 30 minutes. So really, you can get in and out of there in about an hour, which people really enjoy. That's really nice because less time of their day is taken. So we're a little flexible with the 8:30 last wash, but 10 p.m. And our town kind of shuts down at night. So I don't think it's something that we would I do think eventually as I grow and get more commercial accounts, I'll probably add a later shift so that we'll move doing customers' laundry to later at night so that it doesn't take up the machines so that they have a bad experience or they're waiting for our own laundry, that we're processing to be done because that would be frustrating, I think, for a customer. But as far as customers, we're going to be closing at 10. So we close at 10.
Okay. And if you do hit that capacity, any plans for future expansion? Do you envision buying that laundromat across the street?
I don't know. The one thing I feel like when I was looking at my laundromat, The clientele, having it be attended, having machines that work, having a clean environment, those are all things you can fix. The parking lot, you can't fix. So I don't know that I'd be very interested in the laundromat across the street. But I have thought my actual residence is a mixed use area, so it could have commercial. I could run a business from my house. So right now, my garage houses my 24-year-old son's project car that he is lovingly restoring. But that project will end someday, and I'll have my garage back. And I've thought, gosh, I could put washing machines in my garage. So anyway, I don't know. It's just a thought, but yes, I have thought of expanding. Maybe another laundromat, probably not the one across the street, but yeah, there's options.
Maybe start charging your son rent.
Yeah. Well, the rent is that I get to see him as he's restoring his car, so I get
Aw.
visits. So that's heaven for a mom.
Yeah. You mentioned you have adult kids.
Mhm.
What was your kids' reaction
Oh,
to this plan?
they told me I was crazy. They've actually all apologized and said, "Mom, oh gosh, I feel so bad that we told you that." And my response is, "No, you weren't the only one, and I wasn't listening to it, so it's fine."
And is that because they get free wash, dry, and fold, or?
They haven't taken me up on their friends, and one of their friends took me up on the free wash dry fold, which I've known this kid since he was in second grade, so it was like a mom thing to do, do his laundry. But they haven't taken me up on any of the wash dry fold or laundromats. They do visit me, but
I see that you're making a lot of choices that are very customer centric that end up perhaps costing more. The amount of more time that you're spending with customers,
Sure.
the fact that you don't want to overload your employees. Has the business been as profitable as you projected?
Yes, it's been as profitable and more so. I will say though that, like, for example, last night a customer came in. I had seen him a few days before, and he didn't realize we had done wash and fold. He was in there using our self-service. And he left me such a nice review and said, "I'm going to be back. I'm going to try your wash and fold." And so he came in last night at 6 o'clock and had two huge loads, bags of laundry, and wanted his laundry done that night, which is not, we don't do same day, but if it's dropped off after 12 p.m. because it's too much for my employees to process at this point. And he was kind of rude and upset and immediately called me after talking to my employee and said, "Do you know that your employee just, turned me away?" My employee was very polite about it. I was actually in the building, so I could hear him. But the customer didn't know I was there. And so he said, "Do you know that, I tried to drop off this huge laundry order and your employee said he couldn't get it done tonight?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm really sorry. In the past, I have offered quick turnarounds and done that as a favor, but I just find that it's not very fair to my employees. So I'm really sorry, but if you drop your laundry off now, we'll have it done tomorrow, and I could possibly have it done earlier tomorrow morning for you, but there's no way that I can have it done tonight. I'm really sorry." And actually he was like, "I'm so sorry. I was rude." And he apologized. And so I think having those boundaries, making sure that, it does, I could have made a quick sale last night, and asked my employee to do that. But I don't think that's fair to them to, put extra pressure on them. They're already servicing all the employees that are in the store. We have, a backlog of laundry that I might still need them to do from the day. And then to put that extra burden on them, quickly, and can you do this fast? That's not how I want to treat my employees.
Yeah, I love that. It's easy to say the customer is always right if you're just going to push that workload off onto your employees,
Right.
but then you're going to end up with disgruntled employees.
Yeah. I value them so much. Yeah. I really don't want to do that to my employees. I know that they really care about their job. They care about me. They care about my business. And I value all of that. So I feel like putting extra pressure on them is not the thing I want to do. So it might cost me a little bit of
Yeah.
money, but it's okay. It's worth it.
Well, and again, I mean, taking care of your employees isn't just the right thing to do. It's smart business strategy.
Mhm.
If you don't have somebody who's fully invested in the job, who's looking out for your best interests, if they leave and you have to replace them and go
Yeah.
through that whole process, none of that is worth it. So
Right.
again, it's something that I think is so overlooked that it's not only the right thing to do, but it's just a smart business strategy to look
Right.
out for your employees. And I think it's something that a lot of businesses have sort of lost sight of again in pursuit of profits these days.
Agreed. Agreed.
Yeah. We have a feature called the Female Founders Wish List,
Yeah.
where we ask our female founders, is there an item of modest value that could help your business grow today or at least make your life a little bit easier. Is there anything on your female founders wish list that we can post on our website? And
Yeah.
if somebody fulfills it, we'll give them a shout out on the socials
Yeah.
and on the podcast.
So there's an organization, I thought about this a lot when you mentioned it, and it doesn't necessarily help my business, but it does further my goal of serving my community. And there is a organization called Laundry Cares. And what they do is you partner with a local laundry. And I did a search in my area and there's no one using this service. But what they do is they sponsor a laundry day or time and the volunteers from Laundry Cares comes in and does laundry for the less fortunate in the community who can't afford laundry. And they do fundraisers for this. So I would love anybody to sponsor a Laundry Cares event at my location so that I can serve my
Oh,
community. And, clean clothes are really something, it's a basic. It's, you can't go get jobs. It really makes a big difference if you smell good or if you look good. And that's a self-confidence thing. And not everybody can afford that. So I love this organization. I think they do amazing work, and I would love it if your listeners just, if they wanted to, they could, donate any amount to that organization to sponsor a laundry event at my location. And I really, really believe in community and helping others in your community. And that would really selfishly help me help my community. So,
I love it. So would they go on the Laundry Cares website
mhm,
and they can say that they're donating specifically for your community and your
yes,
laundromat?
yes, yes,
Okay, great.
yeah,
Well, we're going to post this on the website. People can find it if they go on mygreatpivot.com and click on founder wish list at the top.
great.
You can find Emily's card and we'll have a link to your website,
Thanks.
but we'll also ask people to fill out a form. And if they get in touch with us, we can steer them that way and give them all the specifics.
Thank you, Carrie. I love that. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And again, putting your community at the forefront of everything that you do, I just love it.
Thanks.
Putting your employees, putting your customers, it's all something that is so overlooked these days. But again, not only the right thing to do,
Mhm.
but also smart business strategy and something that is so good for the community as
Yeah,
well.
it is.
I really appreciate everything you're doing.
Mm.
Has anything surprised you taking on this business?
Well, I have kind of a fun story about a person in our local community. As I was doing this construction and I was closed, I have a van and I was in the parking lot of the laundromat and every day doing my other job, my SaaS job, every minute of the day. And, occasionally like there would be a 5 minute break, 10 minute break, and I would walk in and check the progress. Or if there was a contractor that needed me, they knew where to find me. I was close by. But one of the people that I befriended was Billy. And Billy is unhoused in our local community. And one of the things that you mentioned before and that I mentioned was, the people that were hanging out at this laundromat and how I couldn't risk that, this would be a hangout for people that were doing drugs or that my customers would feel unsafe as they did before I purchased this laundromat and what the reviews talked about. So I did some research and there are restaurants in Chicago who hire someone from the street and they're an employee. And as an employee, they, do a job. But then another thing that they do is they kind of claim the location as their territory. And so Billy came to me and he said, Emily, can I work at your laundromat? Like, can I help you? And I said, actually, I'd meet you, Billy. Like, I actually am glad you asked because I would love it if you did. And he works for me every single morning from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. And he helps me clean up the parking lot, make sure it looks nice, clean up the, you know, empty trashes and stuff, and just kind of check in. One thing I told him is, other employees don't hang around after work. So there's no hanging around after you're done with your work. And he was fine with that. And he has spread the word. There have even been people before we were open that he would introduce me to that are from the street. And he's like, Emily, this is so and so. And then after I'd meet them, he would tell me privately, Emily, don't worry, I'll tell them the rules after you open that, no hanging out unless you're a customer. So he has been a huge help to me. And, one way that I've guaranteed that this location isn't going to fall into disrepair again. Um, and he takes pride in it. There's a little nursery down the street, and everybody knows Billy. All the local businesses know Billy. So he makes his rounds, all of them. And he was down there the first day, and they said, Billy, did you work today? And he said, heck yeah, I did. And he was so proud. And I mean, it just made me really happy because, it's not a handout. It was really helping me. And, we have this friendship. When I'm working late at night, he comes by, he'll check in on me and say, "How you doing?" I'm like, "Okay." I overheard him talking to my newest employee the other day, and he said, "Hey, if you're here late at night or anything, I've got your back." And he really does. He has my back and he has my employees' back, and they all know that. And so, anyway, it's just surprising to me. You asked, sorry, this is a long-winded way of saying this has really worked. It was a chance that I took, but I've not only made a friend, he's got my back. He's a great employee and it's worked. We don't have the problem that we used to have, at the laundromat, and it's really been surprising and that we've created this partnership. So it's been good. That's my little surprise.
That's incredible. I mean, so many businesses talk about going into an area and considering the needs of the stakeholders. And the unhoused population could so easily, and I'm sure is, a part of that community and
Yeah,
a stakeholder that is so often overlooked.
sure. Right.
Yet one that could really make your business prosper or
Mhm.
one that could create issues for your business as
Right.
it did for the prior location.
Yeah.
And so I love how you recognized their role in the community. You recognize that they are genuine stakeholders that will be impacted
Mm.
by your place and integrating them as a stakeholder into your business plan by bringing Billy in as a representative of that group and giving him an opportunity and recognizing the power and influence that he has and acknowledging
Right.
that and seeing it as the real asset that it is.
Yeah, the previous owner had suggested that I call the police, when anybody came over.
Oh,
And I didn't want to do that. That's just not, it's not
yeah,
me, but it's also, I mean, sure, the police are there if you really need that. I'm not saying that. But this required a little bit more thought than just calling the police.
yeah,
And I really wanted a solution. That's not a solution. That's just I'm always going to be calling the police if I choose that solution. And this one takes care of the issue, in a healthy way,
yeah.
in a good way that serves the community still.
Yeah, and addresses the human dignity of the unhoused population and
Yes.
and again, integrating them into the process,
Right.
respecting them.
Yes.
Have you had any down days? And if so, how have you handled those?
Yeah, there not very many, I will say. It's been, so positive, so many positive things. But one of a customer, he regularly comes in and he is a regular, but he did tell me my pricing was too high. And I haven't been into the local laundromats, but I really relied on Leonard for my pricing. And I realized it bothered me all day because he said I'd been talking with my roommates
Mm,
about it and we all think, your pricing is high, which was devastating to me because, I don't want to be gouging anyone. I need to make a living and I need to make this business work and have the numbers work, which they do with my pricing. It was really a down day. That was a very low day because
yeah,
I just thought, oh my gosh, it was early on. And what if this is the sentiment, in the community, that's not going to go over well and be okay. But over and over and over, customers have told me how reasonable my pricing is and how great my pricing is and how good my machines work and how, there's so many positives that, I realized you can't make everybody happy.
mhm,
And there's data to support my pricing. I've done all the research and that bottom line supports this pricing. So I know I can't go lower, but I also know after talking to so many more people that it's fine. And you can't really let one customer, I mean, sure, you need to listen to all your customers, but looking back on that, it was wasted energy that it was a down day.
yeah. Well, and it's so hard when you're a new business too, but, you are somebody who's so empathic and you
Mm,
consider all of your stakeholders.
yes.
You're putting your employees' needs front and center. You're putting your customers' needs front and center. How do you do all this and yet still take care of Emily? Because if you're not taking care of Emily, you can't continue to run this business
Yes.
and provide for all these other people. How
Yeah.
do you make sure you are keeping your interests front and center as well?
So that's a struggle because I
Yeah.
kind of come last. The other night, I have my voice is a little funny because I've had a cold and I've been pretty run down. But the other night, I was so tired and waiting for my other employee to take over, and he doesn't get there till about 5:30 at night, and it was about 4:30, and I was so, so, so tired. I laid down on the office floor, and it's concrete, and I have 2 dogs that come into the laundromat with me every single day and are part of my location. They're my mascots. But there's dog hair. The rest of the laundromat is sparkling clean, but not the office. And so I laid down on the floor, and then I thought, "Wait a minute, Emily. You're the owner. You can close the office and it has a sign, "I'll be right back," which my employee was going to be there within the hour. And I went home and I went to bed. So
Good for
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Good for
So
you.
it's taken me, lying on a cold concrete floor to realizing, wait a minute, I'm answering to myself. I make the rules. I can go home. So anyway, I'm
Wow.
trying to take care of myself. And then today is a good example of that because it's the first day that I have almost full coverage the entire day. And I only work at the laundromat for 1 hour today. So I plan to clean my house.
Good job. Go to the beach.
Yeah, exactly. So it is coming. There will be more Emily Care in the future with my new employee taking over. So,
I hope so. And here, like your day off, then you go and you commit all this time to me and talking.
oh, but this has been lovely. It's so lovely.
It's so indicative of how selfless you are. And
Oh,
I so appreciate this. Just a couple more questions. I want to
sure.
be respectful of your time. You've already talked about advice to people who want to open laundries.
Uh-huh.
What advice do you give to other women out there who are miserable in their jobs and they want to break
Mhm.
out and they have the dream of starting their own business? What words of advice would you have for them?
Bet on yourself.
Mm.
Simply that. I have talked to so many people just in my same predicament, that I was in 5 months ago. And I think there is a paralysis in analysis. And so you can research this to death and then you can pull the trigger. And I don't find many people pulling the trigger. I think it's so scary. But bet on yourself. You can do this. Believe in yourself that, all these crazy things that I've done, marketing now and influencer and like, silly things that I think they're kind of silly. Like, really, me? But you can. You really can. So that's my simple advice is bet on yourself. Really pull the trigger. Do your research. But if you believe in it, if you think this is a good idea, do it.
Perfect. And you're walking proof. Do
Yeah.
your research.
Do your research. But then if it looks good, do it. Don't get into
Do it.
analysis paralysis.
I love it. How can people find out more about Pacific Beach Laundry Company? And how can people find you and your amazing LinkedIn feed that is
Yeah,
so inspiring and
sure.
so informative?
So on LinkedIn, I'm Emily D'Souza. So you can find me there. I also have my laundry set up with the LinkedIn. So it's Pacific Beach Laundry Company, CO, Pacific Beach Laundry CO. And you can find me on Instagram at Pacific Beach Laundry Co. You can see my whole transformation of my site. I have videos of it up there. And I have a website, pacificbeachlaundryco.com. So if you need pickup or delivery or wash and fold or even self-service or just want to come in, one of the first days after I posted the LinkedIn, I had one woman that she came in. She was down doing business from Orange County and she just came into the laundromat and it was lovely meeting her. So if you're ever in my neighborhood, please just come on in. I'd love to meet you, hear your story. If you need advice about starting a laundromat, I'm your girl, or Cami is, but I will steer you in the right direction and give you good advice, I think. But yeah, there's several ways to get in touch with me, but please reach out. I'd love to hear from you.
So wonderful. And I'll include all those links in the
Okay.
show notes as well.
Okay.
Emily D'Souza, you are such an inspiration
Thank
from
you.
your intuitive skills in marketing and finding a business that you could turn around to your approach to working with customers and putting them first and their needs first and your employees first. It has just been so incredible to speak with you and learn from you. Thank you so much for sharing your story today.
You're so welcome, Carrie, and thank you for having me. It's just been a pleasure. I've loved every minute of it.
Thanks again to Emily D'Souza for sharing her inspiring entrepreneurial journey and for reminding us that an idea that might seem crazy just might be the change you need. To learn more about Pacific Beach Laundry Co. or to book their laundry services in San Diego, visit pacificbeachlaundryco.com. And don't forget about Emily's wish. She'd love listeners to support a free laundry event for members of her community who otherwise can't afford these services. You can do so by contributing to the organization Laundry Cares. You can find all the details about how to contribute on our website's Founder Wishlist page. Just head to mygreatpivot.com and click on Founder Wishlist at the top of the page to learn more. As always, you can find that link in our show notes, as well as Instagram links for Pacific Beach Laundry Co. and Cami the Laundromat Girl. My Great Pivot is a production of the Female Founders Project. If you enjoyed this podcast, please like, share, subscribe, and give it a 5-star review. It helps others find it. And if you'd like to share your own entrepreneurial journey, we'd love to hear from you at thefemalefoundersproject.com. Thanks for listening and keep innovating.